Welcome to No Something Required Podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing. Here to entertain and delight you every Thursday evening at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless we're late. And now, introducing your trio of hosts, starting with RedRomina, Audrey, the sus one, Ember, and of course, your dark lord of the interwebs, Roberto Blake. Welcome to the No Something Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like and subscribe and do all of the things.
I have no idea what's going on with OnlyFans.
You know, I forgot that the soundboard thing was a thing. Like, I totally forgot that happened.
I was
Of course
reminded
you did.
extremely quickly, though.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Did you add some?
I don't think I did, but
You haven't
I just
added
don't think you.
remember the
I just don't
bro.
think you. I just don't think that you remembered
We didn't
all of them, or maybe I
the
didn't.
bra yet.
Or maybe I didn't use all. No, bro was in there.
Yeah, bro was there. We had a whole discussion about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like,
Whatever you do, don't play the rewind one, please, for the love of God.
Okay, but like, Romina, do you want to introduce Audrey to the news topic for the evening?
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow, longest drum roll ever. Yeah, so
That's about right.
OnlyFans has just said that they are banning all sexual
Explicit.
content.
Not all
Sexually-
sexual.
Isn't that like the
Sexually
entire
ex-
purpose of the website?
It's what popularized the website. It is what built the website and made it a
Oh,
juggernaut.
It is the
I
majority
thought
of
that
their
was
user
why it was
base.
created.
It's just what popularized it. I mean, think about it. Even with
Oh.
YouTube, the things that popularized it are not the thing that it was intended for per se. Most of these platforms, the thing that the developers and creators of these platforms intend or want is not necessarily what they become known for. We see that all the time. So I think you have to, I mean, primary example, like Spotify, I believe, is now becoming more known for podcast and what it's doing in that space, and possibly video podcast, and even being a future contender to YouTube than it is for music, even though still the majority of people are music. But I don't think that'll be true in 5 years. You see what I'm saying? Just because of the, think about it like this. What Snapchat initially was known for, right up until like Snapchat's like popularity in the Gary Vee era. Okay, Snapchat was known largely as a sexting app by a lot of people, even though that wasn't its intended purpose. That's what popularized it until the idea of being a social media influencer became what it was more known for. But for 5 years, it was basically a sexting app. Even though that's not what
I
people
feel like-
intended it to be, that's what it was known for.
I feel like OnlyFans though was on another level. Like it was.
Well, again, it's what it became popularized for.
But was Snapchat as well known before the influencer wave?
Yeah, as a sexting app.
But it wasn't known by like.
But it wasn't
general...
made for that. It wasn't made for that, but that's how people used it.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, was it as popular, like, in the amount of downloads as OnlyFans is right now? Back then,
Snapchat was pretty big, so maybe. But they weren't
Oh,
generating
no.
the kind of income.
I think it
Yeah.
was. I think it was because, I mean, influencers or creators weren't using Snapchat to create, but they were using Snapchat to connect with their fans from other platforms. But on top of that, what Roberto's talking about is the whole sexting thing that was happening predominantly with teens, but it was still in general like just the perfect thing for taking those pics that you wanted to disappear within a few hours.
Yeah, and with like self-destructing like messages, it popularized that whole like thing.
All right. Jimmy says Snapchat wasn't earning revenue from nudes, but were the individuals earning revenue?
That's a good question.
Right? I mean, I don't
Like
know.
even
What's
now,
stopping
premium
somebody?
Snapchat accounts,
Yeah.
like for sex
Right?
workers, that's like a thing. That's like a real
Right.
thing. Adult entertainers and sex workers are now running premium Snap accounts.
Yeah. So what is their new angle now that they're
trying to get more mainstream. They'll still allow nudes and things to be posted. This episode's probably going to be like more explicit. We'll try though. But like but it's the nature of the thing, right? So I mean, we have to talk about it.
I think what's most shocking about it, right, which is kind of what's happening in the chat right now, is that OnlyFans' entire value proposition is predicated on sexually explicit content
and on sex workers.
Yeah.
And that's
kind of what's the most shocking about it, is that
Snapchat was generating revenue.
Right. Snapchat was used for sexting, but it was also used just between friends and fans, and it was just like another
just even
app,
ordinary people and friend groups. And
I mean, it was used for sexting in the same way that like Instagram DMs
or WhatsApp or just regular SMS messaging,
right?
Except for the self-destruct feature. That was the
right, exactly.
Value prop.
That was exactly.
No, but like the value prop, like, okay, here's the thing. Lena the Plug went onto Philip DeFranco's show and talked a little bit about this. And the thing is, they propped up and they gave a lot of these creators, mostly female creators, they gave a lot of these girls a home where they could do things they couldn't do on other platforms, and then they just flipped the script on them, moved the goalpost. The word betrayal has been thrown around, and I think it's an appropriate thing because it's like you use these people to prop up your thing. You get this like massive evaluation of the value of your company. You generate all this revenue. Then you actually use them as a recruitment mechanism to say, get more mainstream creators, get your Corinna Kops and Tana Mojos and so on and so forth. And then you ditch the people who built your platform and made you all this money, and you turn your back on them. You abandon the creators that made you. That's messed up. All right, Andy. But no, it's freaking messed up. It's freaking messed up to profit quite literally off of the backs of these female creators, and then ultimately once you feel like you're more mainstream and now you want investor money, and now you're just going to abandon the people that built you. That's messed up.
True.
I'm just confused as to how they're going to keep growing at the rate they've been growing, because I don't know
they
if
want
the
to
like
take investor
original
money, and that's what will grow them. Is like it's a money play.
Yeah. But what's gonna like keep growing their user base? Like, what is unique about OnlyFans besides the
if their thing is they're getting a new user base by going more mainstream, and that's the problem. Because the thing is, once you have these influencers that are mainstream, that have 10 million followers in TikTok, 2 million on YouTube, and so on and so forth, they can inflate their user base without the sex worker industry, because they have the mainstream to supplement it, and they have these people that have rabid fan bases to supplement it, and that's their offset versus niche creators. And that's what you keep having happen across all platforms is they make a home for niche creators. They try to, and they use that as an avenue. There's homegrown talent. Then when they can get celebrities and mainstream influencers, they don't stick around with their people who grew exclusively on their platform or who made them or were the niche creators that they catered to. They abandon that. It happens all the time. They chase the mainstream. That's where YouTube creators resented the whole Will Smith coming to YouTube, and not as much him, but just as an example, they resented celebrities invading YouTube because they feel that there would be no incentive if those people bring their audiences from movies and television, those huge audiences that even homegrown creators can't really compete with. What would be the point of YouTube listening to its own homegrown creators if the user base follows the celebrities? That's why there's this whole schism of homegrown creators being against celebrities, but niche creators are against mainstream influencers, not out of anything against those influencers or those celebrities, but because it robs them of their power and their voice to influence their platform.
So what's this talk of OF.TV?
It's supposed to be an expansion. And it was supposed to be, hey, we're going to do this other thing. So don't worry, we're going to leave the core thing alone, but we're going to expand into this other thing. But then that's not what's happening now because, again, got to get that investor money.
Wait, so what's the difference? Is OFTV kind of like a YouTube? And then what's the difference between
That's the idea.
What's the difference between like OnlyFans now and Patreon?
There's not going to be as much of one, is my understanding.
I think that's what they're hoping for, right?
But here's the thing. I will argue that interface-wise and user experience-wise, you could argue that OnlyFans has a better UI UX, and then the tip system actually makes it a little bit more practical in some ways. And then I would say in terms of developing their own system, and again, building like a video experiences with OFTV like YouTube, that's not something Patreon's trying to do. Patreon is not trying to get truly into the content experience side of things and have native content. Patreon's not trying to have native content in that same way. And I think that that's an interesting play of becoming a true platform. So like that's interesting. And that I think by itself merits raising their evaluation. The problem is they can't get VC funding because there are VC stipulations on what certain firms and entities and partnerships can and cannot invest in. There are people with money who then also have their own bylines and ethics statements and all this stuff to appease certain groups of investors. And then you also then have the problem with the payment processors and the banks then being involved, by the way, with lawmakers and then deciding like who and who can't do business and transactions and, you know, so on and so forth. And that's a problem. They have too much power.
What was that?
That's my brother opening the garage door.
Oh my goodness. This is very loud.
In all of the years, I think this is the first time.
No, it's not. You guys have heard it before.
No. How come I never asked?
That was like, it sounded like maybe a phone was buzzing near the mic or something.
No, it's the whole vibrating thing of the garage door.
Okay.
So how do you guys feel about NARP starting an OnlyFans?
I really don't need a situation where I have to make any more content.
That's a good way to put that. I mean, I feel like the connotation has changed now in like the span of a couple hours.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll take a little bit more time than that for it to.
Well, also that's the thing with OnlyFans. They've literally become like integrated into mainstream media as the like explicit platform. Like they're literally in rap songs. And where, like Beyonce had said like in OnlyFans. Like they're kind of stuck with this.
It's a cultural it's a cultural impact. It's a cultural like impact.
So I don't know if that's a good thing because they're kind of probably more mainstream than Patreon, like at least with the general public. But then
and they blew up fast. They became. You know how many things have tried to be a Patreon competitor and are obscure and not that profitable and are barely staying alive? Imagine if somebody actually made something that was like a rival to YouTube, that was niche and as a niche rival to YouTube. Imagine having a niche rival to YouTube, right? For real. Something that's niche. It's not a clone of YouTube. It's a rival and it has a new cultural context and a niche audience and it's doing its own thing. And then imagine you have that, get mainstream notoriety. You're making, you have a valuation of billions of dollars, because like $2 billion valuation, that is more than what YouTube was valued at when it was acquired by Google. Google acquired YouTube for 1.6 billion. 2 billion today, it's like it's roughly, with adjust for inflation, sure, it's about roughly the same. So, but then imagine selling out and betraying the situation that got you there. That's absurd. That's absurd.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch. Because I feel like literally just the notoriety might give them an edge on pushing out Patreon with time.
I mean, I felt like it might have if they had just stayed the damn course.
Yeah.
But because they wouldn't only be that, all they had to do was define themselves as being more than that. I know that's a hard narrative to overcome, but if Snapchat didn't change anything to overcome its narrative, it didn't change anything about its functionality or the way it served users to overcome its ties to being a sexting app that was popular among young people. It didn't change what it offered or put limitations on what it offered in order to accomplish overcoming its negative press.
Yeah.
What's going on over there? What's happening? I heard people talking. Is there somebody at your window?
No one can be at my window. I'm on the second floor.
Not you, Roberto.
There's someone yelling outside random curse words.
Oh,
you know,
geez.
the other day I woke up, there was a dude with an orange Power Ranger mask on. He had a guitar, and he was saying that he wanted to tase people. And that was at 7:30 a.m. And he was just walking by. Yeah, this happens pretty...
Yeah. Jimmy says OnlyFans couldn't really stay the course with anti-money laundering laws that don't really and banking and so on. Jimmy, I understand what you're saying. I somewhat disagree because I think a $2 billion valuation and bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars a year gives you a lot of leverage. And it's not like you can't go out and go shop for a couple of congressmen and congresswomen.
The garage again? But just once this time.
But yeah, like I would say,
Wow.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to be that. I'm not in favor of crony capitalism. I'm saying that crony capitalism does exist. Lawmakers and lobbyists exist. Buying politicians exist. We have legal bribery in this country. So, I mean, if you have, here's the thing. I'm not in favor of
Roberto, take a breath.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in favor of those things per se, but what I'm saying is, in a weird way, I'm not that mad if you go and you say, okay, if the only way to get you to protect free speech, free expression, and people being able to transact commerce between each other is to buy off the government, maybe you buy off the government.
All right.
If they're for sale, and the answer is, oh, I can keep my free speech, but it's going to cost me money, maybe I keep my free speech.
And now I got a question, and maybe it's a little bit more personal, maybe a little bit more controversial. I don't know what's controversial anymore, but
who knows?
As OnlyFans stood yesterday, did you have anything against the platform, its ethics?
I thought you were going to ask about the garage door.
Not really. Like, I have friends who are both safe for work and non-safe for work creators. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a lot of friends in different circles. There are a lot of YouTube content creators, very large YouTube content creators. You know that I'm part of that community. There are people who have safe for work and non-safe for work content that are large YouTube creators and TikTok creators. And I know a few of these people, especially from the LA side, from going to events and conferences. There are people I know there in the anime and cosplay community that have OnlyFans accounts, whether they are safe for work or not safe for work. A lot of people from the cosplay community decided that this was a better fit for them and they could get a bigger audience and obviously make more money to support their projects by being on OnlyFans than Patreon. There were also a lot of people that didn't like Patreon's stances politically in what they felt was censorship and free speech. And so this gave them a viable alternative that did have mainstream and did have an audience. So for those reasons, I had nothing absolutely against the platform because I believe that competition is good. Competition is the backbone of a free and fair market. People deserve options, and that when companies compete, consumers win. I've always believed that. So I have nothing against them. In terms of people's ethics and morals, it's like, look, no one agrees on ethics and morals and everything like that. You have a lot of people that have these virtuous aesthetics, and they'll say a lot of shit. They'll talk a lot of good stuff. But the reality is they don't actually respect other people's beliefs that disagree with them. They do not respect other people's beliefs and the right to those beliefs, which this country's constitution defends. You can have those beliefs. I do not have to submit to the moral standard of somebody else that wants to hold me accountable to their moral values without my consent. I have the right to not consent to somebody else's moral beliefs, and I am not supposed to be accountable to what they think is morally correct. I am only accountable to the rule of law, and that right is protected by the Constitution of the United States. It's an inalienable human right. You have the right to believe and live as you choose if you don't infringe on another human being and if you're not breaking the law. That's all we have to adhere to. We do not have to adhere to somebody else's decision about what morality is. We are a country of laws, and we are equal under the Constitution in spirit, if not in practice.
I was laughing because Audrey just kind of had like this face on where she's kind of like a mom after the first few years of having a child. Like she's already past the phase of like my child is perfect and I love my child in every way. And it's just kind of like I have to deal with this for the next like 8+ years. I have to continue to deal with this child.
That's not true. I think I'm just saying
that's what your face looked like. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm just saying that it was kind of like you were a little over it, but at the same time, like you still have love, you know?
I think I zoned out for like 1 second and then came back and was a little confused. That's all.
That's on my end. It's because you weren't paying attention when I asked the initial question that Roberto so detailedly answered.
That's true.
And the question was, I'm glad that you acknowledge the fact that you don't listen to me half of the time, Audrey.
No, I do.
Oh no, the soundboard is back. Oh, Lord save us.
I am listening.
All right, the question was...
I heard the question.
What was the question?
It was
Oh my God, I can't even...
Bruh.
Bruh, indeed.
I actually listened to the question. Now I'm just...
All right, can I ask the question now? Because I'm genuinely curious as to what your response is. All right. How do you feel about OnlyFans as it stood yesterday? You know, from the moment that how it built up its creators and the fans who joined and paid money. Like how do you
before it decided to switch?
Yeah, how do you feel about that system? Like ethically, do you have any issues with it? Like, do you have any problems with it?
No, I think people can do whatever they want. Basically, they signed up, they made the choice. It's fine. I don't judge / care what other people do. That's kind of my conclusion.
Live and let live. Live and let live. Why do we have to care? I mean, why does anyone have to agree with what I care about ethically or morally? Who gives a damn?
They don't have to agree.
And why do I have to care about what other people think is ethical or moral if I'm adherent to the law? If I'm adherent to the law, why do I have to care about what other people's value system is? Why am I beholden to somebody else's values without consenting to them?
Okay, wait, what are your guys' predictions then on OnlyFans going forward, ditching their previous user base, basically?
I think it betrays their customers. And I think it betrays the mostly the women that help build them to where they are. And I think that it's wrong to turn your back on the people who built you. Just because especially in the pursuit of more money, when you already have something substantive, why not say, hey, I'll rock with whoever can invest with me based on their VC positioning. And why not look at, there is a payment processor they work with that hasn't had any problems. So Why not double down on that? And then why not use your leverage and your social capital to fight for more expression and fight for less leverage in terms of the banks and the payment processors deciding who can transact business and under what circumstances? Why not stand up for your creators, and why not stand up for yourself and fight back? Why not use your money, your social capital, and why not stand by your people and fight back?
I mean, it sounds like the people who are in charge just wanted to, bring the platform a completely new direction, but they're completely disregarding what built it up in the first place. I think they got a lot further, like reputation-wise, and just further down the line than like YouTube or Snapchat did to become like pretty well established and well known.
So damn quick.
For this type of stuff. So I don't know what the chances are of them like replacing a Patreon or wanting to compete with YouTube or something.
They
like why
have a valuation
veer off
right.
of a market that they captured.
They have a valuation that is equal to the valuation when YouTube was acquired by Google. $2 billion.
Is Roberto muted or is it me?
It's you.
It's you.
It's you. Like, they're valued at over $2 billion. When YouTube was acquired by Google, it was $1.6 billion. So, like, that's substantial. And they did it in a very short period of time. But the thing is, unlike YouTube, they have actual customers doing transactions. It's not passive ad revenue. They're not beholden to advertiser interest. They have a direct pipeline of customers that have built them up. They are literally turning their back on people who have paid them money and the creators that allowed for the facilitation of that through their content. Think about it like this. Imagine you take advertisers out of the YouTube equation and YouTube was more like Twitch, and it was about fans supporting their creators. So imagine a scenario where YouTube or Twitch literally says, okay, we're not going to do this thing anymore that you've paid for. And hey, creators, we're not even going to give you a heads up about these changes until we're going to give you a heads up 30 days from the fact. That's freaking ridiculous. You have actual customers. It's not like you're being pressured by the advertisers like what happened with YouTube, where there's a lot of diverse interest there. It's literally you decided that investor money was more important than your paying customers.
Wait, did they say that they were gonna put these rules into effect immediately, or is this something that
October? It's 45 days. 45, 60 days. October.
All right, that's, I don't know.
And they did not give their creators a heads up. The creators found out in the news just like everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that they wouldn't give the creators a heads up. Can you imagine if they did? And the news would have gotten out already, right? I mean,
NDAs exist, and it would have been leaked.
Yeah,
but maybe again, you deserve that.
I think it would have been nice for them to tell creators first, but does that ever happen?
Well, that again, you're talking about good faith business. That's the problem. When you don't do business in good faith, if your business fails, you deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like selling it's kind of like creating a burger stand, and then after hitting 1 million patrons, then all of a sudden you decide that you're not going to sell burgers anymore and you're going to sell salads.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting, right? I mean, I get why it happened because I know that there's a lot more at play that goes into that. But it's still, I guess it just, what's more disappointing is the larger conversation that it brings on, right? Because it's not just OnlyFans had to basically do this because of the credit cards. I mean, for that's probably the majority of the reason, because why would they
that and VC investment, right? That and VC
I mean,
investment.
it's a bunch of, it's money, right? It's essentially, it's
if you want to raise capital, there are
we've got to follow our rules. I think the thing is, the more disappointing thing is the fact that the conversation even needs to be had, right? Because
this happens to cannabis and CBD companies too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just the fact that if I want to run a legitimate business, whether that product is my body or not, that should be my choice.
Yeah.
Right.
We should have the right to legally conduct business as we choose without interference from on high.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, the banks and payment processors, it's like they're not arbitrarily deciding this. It's their relationship with lawmakers who are also deciding this. And we know that there's like a bent of people who like to police everybody's vices. So I'm not making this political, but it is political in nature. The fact that there's a segment of the population that wants to police what other people can and cannot do with regard to their vices. And when they decide to use those relationships and that influence, it literally restricts our freedom. And like we like, this is a problem. Like, this is a real problem because we should
Andy
be
is
allowed
hot
to transact business
tonight with all the jokes in the chat.
He is.
I just want to say, if you guys,
bits.
Yeah. Everybody who's listening to this, please join us every Thursday at 7-ish Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/noassemblypod. If anything, not to join us, but to not miss out on Andy's jokes in the chat.
But it's like, why can't we have a CBD company that could then raise VC? You know, Gary Vee was talking about the fact that he had to create another company. He had to create something outside of his existing subsidiaries because of the investors, so that if he wants to then associate with a cannabis brand, he can do it under another platform, because he can't. And he can't do it publicly really as Gary Vee either, because of then blowback to other investments, because he's an angel investor and he's a VC founder and so on and so forth. And it's so freaking messed up, and it's so effed up. And it's like, it's nothing. It's not even illegal. It's not even illegal. It's a legal business. Why? Why does it have to be so damn complicated and everything like that? You know, I mean, this is why I know people don't like it. And again, I'm not trying to be political, but this is why I'm against regulations. This is why I'm against regulations. This is why I want smaller government. I know how it sounds. I know. I get it. I get it. But think about it. There's only one entity that ever gets to take away your freedom. It's called the government. There's only one entity that gets to tell you what you can and can't do. It's called the government. So why would you want to give more money and more power to people who decide how much money and how much power you get to have? Why would you do that? There's no reasonable reason to do that unless you're looking to get something from them. And what are you going to get that's more valuable than your damn freedom? I don't understand. And we're literally watching it where the rules and the goalposts are moving for how you can start a business, you can do business, who you can do business with, where you can spend your money, and how you can express yourself, and how you make decisions with your body. And we are watching it happen in 4K, and nobody seems to give a damn. And I can't understand it.
The applause. I like how it just trickles out like that.
It's epidemic sound. I got it from Epidemic Sound.
Is that where you got most of your sounds from?
I got half of them from Epidemic Sound, and then the rest of them are memes.
All right, Audrey.
Thank you. I got half of them from Epidemic Sound, who's not sponsoring this video, and was sponsored, I think, everyone here at one point. And then
we have affiliate links.
Yeah, we do. And so I have half of them as Epidemic Sound, and then the other half is memes.
If you need some help on the memes, I got folders, so I have that one.
What are some other memes you think we should have, Audrey? Like off the top of your head, what are you thinking? Like what's
oh my god, I can't.
What's your favorite meme right now?
I like bruh. I think it's great.
Bruh.
It's simple. It's to the point. I have to go through the ones I have set up on my Twitch because some of those are pretty good.
I mean, what makes a meme is that eventually it falls under fair use, because it's pop culture. So it gets to the point where it just is so much what it is.
It belongs to the people now.
Right. It's kind of like a GIF, right? So like if you use like a GIF of The Office, you're not going to have NBC coming after you.
I mean, they technically
I
can.
mean,
You just
they
have
can.
you have to make a legal defense. They can come after you, but you have to make a legal defense.
But the idea
really
behind it
determined.
is that you're using this very small clip that has become ingrained in popular culture and everyday life, and so it's not it's in fair use, but
Yep.
I like this one that Gabe brought up.
Which one?
Wow.
Oh, do it again.
Wow.
Sorry, wait, I missed that. Can you do it again?
What, this one?
I wanted Audrey to do it.
There's also the watch your profanity one.
Oh yeah, I like that one. We should add that one, Roberto.
I can only have a maximum of 8 at a
Then get
time
another
without switching menus.
All right, well then switch menus.
Yeah, I
This
guess
is
the
why
one
we
that you
all
guys
need
are
to
gonna
get
let me. I guess the
soundboards.
ones you guys are. I guess the one you guys are gonna make me get rid of is this one.
Oh God.
Yeah, you're gonna make me get rid of that one. So
I just feel like it's not. Oh yeah, the Owen Wilson.
yeah, it's gone. It's gonna.
So sad. We could get the oof from Minecraft when Steve dies.
Maybe,
You know?
maybe, yeah.
Oof.
Audrey. I think
If I had
here's
the
thing.
if I had the soundboard, it would be chaos. That's
Yeah,
all.
no,
I'm about.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you go ahead and you buy a Rodecaster, then we have multiple soundboards.
I don't know if you want that.
I
Here's
can
what
live with it.
No, here's the thing. I think that different memes can mean the same thing or have like the same sentiment. So we should definitely be picky with the memes that we choose because Roberto has a limited amount of like what he can easily access, right? Like very like efficiently, right?
Yeah, without having to push a button to switch to another set. Yeah.
Right. So I think like if there's a meme that's like resembling another in sentiment than in intention, then we should probably not have it, right? It should be considered a duplicate.
It just depends because there's also tonality and there's also individual style. So like Audrey can have like her memes and soundboards. I think it's fine.
It would be disastrous if the three of us had soundboards.
I think it'd be great.
I don't know. I don't think it. I don't.
What
think
if we
it
have
would
to take
be-
turns? So it's like you can
How are we
only use it after the last person has used it. You know, like you can be like, "Oh, Roberto just went. I can go now."
He just went. Yeah. Okay.
And so that we have to wait. So it's not like bro, like all the time. You know.
That's fair.
I mean, we're all planning this, but there's only one
day it will happen.
All right. I do agree with the general consensus in the audience that Owen Wilson's WoW should be in there. I think that would be a really good one.
I was gonna say we could put PewDiePie's what in there.
No, I think it's I want to get the Smosh angry shut up one.
Oh my god.
Like shut up. Like that one, maybe that's the one I want.
This episode has gone off the rails. I mean, we went from having a very serious discussion to talking about meme sounds. Which is fine. I'm not
These are
hating on
both
it. I'm
equally important discussions.
I think people might be tired of like my like grandstanding, like flag waving, saber rattling speeches.
This is the whole point of this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, all right. Here's the thing. I think people in the audience are excited, Roberto, that you are starting your own country, and we have a lot of people who want to join. I don't see anything.
I don't know that people would be that down with like, because I'm a dictator. I'm like Dr. Doom up in here.
People don't realize that Roberto's a Sith. Roberto's a Sith Lord.
But I'm a Sith Lord you can rock with.
I don't know if you'd catch me in Roberto land.
Wow.
I'm a Sith Lord you can rock with.
Audrey's gonna.
Oh god. I feel like I would troll Roberto too much and he would like lock me up on an island.
I could make you minister of memes, you know.
Oh, okay, I'll join now.
Minister of memes.
There you go. Nepotism for the win. Nepotism
What is that?
for win.
Can you tell me what that?
I give political appointments to all my friends. That's
Roberto,
what
hold on. On a serious note, what does that job entail?
I
What are her
mean,
daily
I get a
activities
giant
or
soundboard that's
tasks?
connected to all the speakers throughout Roberto Land.
well,
and
I mean,
can just
she
use-
gets I mean, for one thing, I mean, she can be minister of actually I'll give you 2 assignments. You're minister of memes and propaganda.
Yes.
There you go.
I'll be like that Twitter account that tweets bong every hour.
run the news. You just
yell bong every
you just
hour
run our
over
state news program. You just run our state news program, and you can be minister of memes and propaganda, and I'm fine with it.
Do you guys know that account on Twitter that literally just it's called the Big Ben, and it tweets like the hour every hour with the amount of bongs. Like it'll be like bong 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 if it's 3. I'll do that with the as the minister of memes in Roberto Land, but over an intercom.
I'm not calling it Roberto Land. We'll come up with some better name for it.
All right. What are some contenders then?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Bertopia?
I don't need a country named after me per se. I'd rather it be something interesting. It's like, I mean, because I mean,
we could keep it casual.
In Marvel, they have some really cool like sovereign nations. I mean, you got Wakanda, you got New Latveria with Doctor Doom. I mean, you got the mutants. The mutants have this
so you're
other
gonna come up with its own like a name that's completely
something cool. Something sounds boss. Something
would it be made up, or would it be made up of actual words that already exist?
I don't know. Maybe I reverse engineer something that's from an old language or something.
Wait, I got an idea. What about NARP?
The Republic of NARP?
Yeah.
The Republic of NARP. Actually, that's not bad.
The Republic of NARP.
The Republic of NARP.
What would our flag be? I mean, I guess it'd be yellow and blue.
It wouldn't necessarily be yellow and blue. I mean, I've been reconsidering that branding.
Yeah, we can go off brand for this.
Yeah, no, but
for the people.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe we just
Republic of NARP
put a brain on our flag to flex on everyone else.
No, I think it has to be something more unifying than that. You know?
Pineapple.
That would be scary.
What about a pineapple?
I feel like it would be intimidating to have that.
You think a pineapple is pineapple?
Why does my audio keep cutting out?
Pineapple.
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
What do y'all have against pineapples?
I don't want the association with SpongeBob.
What's wrong with SpongeBob?
Everything. I was genuinely angry when SpongeBob aired because I'm like, I draw better than this, and I gave up my dream of being an animator. What the hell? I was mad. I was genuinely upset.
Dude.
I was genuinely upset when SpongeBob first came out, and I saw that that's what Nickelodeon put on, and I gave up on my dream of being an animator. I was angry. I was violently angry for like a minute. Like,
Audrey, how do you feel about SpongeBob?
My headphones are working. I can't hear what's happening.
Put it on the speakers. Did you have your other headphones, your Bose headphones?
I just did, but now you're going to hear a echo.
Andy, only brains. I dig it. Only brains. Yeah.
Audrey, how do you feel about SpongeBob? What's your opinion on SpongeBob?
I like SpongeBob.
I like SpongeBob memes, and I like the SpongeBob like anime intro. God, what was his name? It's a great animator on YouTube. I can't pronounce his name right now. Did a dope job on that. And Handsome Squidward is an interesting one. I like that meme a lot. I like the Handsome Squidward meme. I also like the
be on our flag.
The other thing I do like is the
Roberto
thing where
didn't
like
want a pineapple because of the association with SpongeBob.
Yeah, I'm not making Handsome Squidward.
He's not going to put Squidward on the flag.
I did like this one joke in the series where it's like Squidward is like putting flowers at a grave, and it says here lies Squidward's hopes and dreams. And then Mr. Krabs is like, oh, you big baby. Like I did love that. That was dark as hell. I like that. That was so like some of the humor in it. I mean, it was that more of I had a salty reaction to this is what they put on.
You were bitter.
I was bitter, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think that's a completely appropriate reaction.
You had a micro weak moment.
Do you guys
I would
want
call
to
it weak. I would call it a natural reaction to an injustice.
Do you guys want to hear a sad story related to SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Do I?
So
Roberto, get ready to hit the sad tune when she's done.
My brother had a fish. All right. I haven't said anything yet.
It's already starting off bad, Audrey.
You can't play that. My brother had a fish. That's all I said. Okay, my brother had a fish, and in the fish tank, he decided to put like the pineapple house from SpongeBob as the main. Don't put this out. And one day he got back from school, and the fish was stuck in the like circular window. And it died for some reason because it got stuck in there. Maybe it drowned. I don't know what happened, but it was
drowned.
Bruh.
The fish drowned.
Bruh.
That was a joke. But like, what was wrong? I don't know why it died. It just got stuck, and it wasn't even gone for that long. I know, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's like sharks, right? Like little fish this doesn't apply to. I don't know. I don't know the anatomy that
it does. That is the equivalent of a fish drowning. Literally that.
So I was right. It did drown.
It did because it's not, believe it or not, fish do consume oxygen.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it was like all fish that have to move like a lot, because I know sharks do that. Maybe it's when they're sleeping that sharks do that. I don't know. But whatever. Yeah, there's no happy ending, Gabe. That's the end.
Sheesh.
Seriously. Is the happy ending? No.
All right.
So let's like loop this back around, and then we can maybe start to wrap up a little bit. Like
wrap things up.
How do we like? I mean, I told you kind of like, again, with my whole flag waving, like how I feel about what this move with OnlyFans represents, and that's bigger than OnlyFans, and that, you know, it represents that these platforms have no loyalty. So we shouldn't be sitting here really working our butts off to evangelize individual platforms, because the problem I have is like these OnlyFans creators actively went out and advocated for, pushed for the platform, recruited mainstream people from the platform. They were used and then disposed of, and the relationship with the platform was not reciprocal, and that feels really dirty and really crappy, and it feels like there's no loyalty. So if platforms aren't going to be loyal to their creators or to the paying customers, why should we all evangelize and identify with platforms and like, oh, I'm a TikToker, or I'm a YouTuber, or I'm an Instagrammer? Why should we adopt platform identities and evangelize platforms instead of just looking at them not as a community, not as, why would we look at them as anything but a utility? We don't sit here and we don't have some kind of rep or loyalty to our electric company, or I'm not saying treat them as public utilities, I'm saying emotionally do. Like, we don't sit here and we don't rep our water company or our light company, and we don't identify with them or whatever. Same thing for, I mean, for the most part, we don't do it completely with our operating systems. Why do we continue to develop these emotional attachments to platforms? And yeah, it's great that sometimes we make money or we get an audience from them, but why do we sit here and think of them as anything but a tool to be used? Because clearly that's how we're viewed as creators. We are clearly used and disposed of when inconvenient. The goalpost is moved. We aren't entitled to a heads up. We don't get a say in the decisions that get made. So why do we treat these as more than tools when they don't see us as anything more than that, clearly?
Yeah, you're just a hammer. Audrey, what are you? What's your tool?
Just a hammer out here banging stuff, right?
I feel like I'm still kind of like, especially with YouTube, I always just put them on a pedestal, I guess, because I saw the creators. But I think now I've learned more to just not be as reliant on like the companies, focus more on the communities, and know that the companies are what they are. Yeah. And like that's fine. That's
corporate's gonna corporate. Corporate's gonna corporate.
I think that's a healthy mindset as any creator to know. Just like don't be reliant on one platform. Don't be reliant on platforms
after
general,
Viper,
having your best interest in mind.
After Viper, I'm filming and editing a video and getting it out for like midnight about. Now, I'm not going to harp too much on the OnlyFans thing. I mean, we did that here, but I'm going to harp on the diversity angle. I'm going to use it as a tee up and then just go into diversifying and decentralizing and not romanticizing or relying on platforms. If you rely on a platform, you're setting yourself up for failure because they can move the goalpost whenever they want and they're not loyal. They're not loyal. So don't romanticize them. Do not be in a one-way relationship with a platform and expect them to care about you. Do not expect platforms to care about you. Understand that if you care about the platform and you're emotionally invested, you're in a one-way freaking relationship. You're in a one-way freaking relationship. And it's like anytime they want, they're going to write your ass a Dear John letter. And they ain't going to think nothing of it. These platforms ain't loyal. So don't get attached. No strings.
Yeah.
You need to be no strings. Because like when they get ready, they're going to operate in their best interest. So you better be doing the same. And the answer to that is you build a damn website, you get an email list. I don't care that you don't think most of your followers or whatever. If your followers want access to you, they will give you their email. If your followers want access to you, they will follow you on the other platforms. If your audience wants access to you, they're going to need to get over it and forego the convenience of platforms, because even the consumers can't trust the platforms to act in their own interest. Because if OnlyFans can do this and they're taking money from the consumer, because it's not a free platform like YouTube subsidized by ads, if they're willing to ignore what consumers want that are paying them money, what makes you think that free platforms are always going to just do what's in your interest as a consumer, as a viewer? So if you want to support a creator and you want access to a creator, don't rely on one platform for that just because it's convenient for you, because the minute it's not convenient for the platform, you're not going to get it.
Right. And not just because of their willingness to want to do it, but also
external pressure.
Right. Their willingness to stand up to external pressures. Like if you think that they're going to stand up for you when they're being pressured by, let's say, MasterCard or the government,
they're not.
They're not.
They're not. And here's the other thing. Like, they make a big show of standing for what's right, or they do all this performative nonsense and people think that they're on their side. It's like, that's just so the stock price doesn't take a hit. That's just for a show. That's just for optics, so that the media won't say mean things about them and hurt their stock prices and hurt the shareholders and the board members. That's the only reason they do any of it. Come on. Like, there might be people who sincerely care. I'm not suggesting otherwise. Corporations are ultimately made up of people, but the reality is that, well, who has the leverage? Because the thing is, you can care about something. You may not be willing to do anything about it, though, because you're put between a rock and a hard place. A lot of you care about certain things, but are you going to go get fired over it? Probably not. So I'm not saying here dunking on individual people. I'm just talking about the nature of the problem itself, is that a corporation, by its nature, is beholden to investors, shareholders, and people that wants money from. And that's not always going to be the most of that money, unfortunately, is not always going to be in the hands of the consumer. Even if so, it's decentralized. And if they can provide enough convenience, consumers won't stop doing something if it's convenient. So the forces that can apply pressure to a company, if it's publicly traded, are going to be the payment processors, the media, and the government, all of which probably need to have less power than they do, because that's an interruption of service or a change of service to you that you didn't get a say of because of the leverage applied by a very selective group of people who probably don't have anything in common with you and frankly don't seem to be answerable to you. The corporations would be answerable to you if the government couldn't leverage and pressure them as much beyond consumer protections for your safety. And if the media couldn't get away with, influencing the perception of them to the point of affecting the stock prices and applying pressure to the shareholders. Consider the fact that a multi-billion-dollar company, Disney, and another multi-billion-dollar company, YouTube, cut ties with PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber at the time, a couple of years ago, because content he'd made in the past was written about by the media, and the media specifically called out YouTube and Disney and individual sponsors for associating with him but his fan base had no problem with anything he did. But the media decided to take issue with it, write about it, call out these publicly traded companies. And these publicly traded companies knew that the majority of their consumers weren't going to stop using them if they disassociated with PewDiePie. But instead of just doing the right thing and saying, we're not here to decide what he can and cannot do and what he can and cannot say. And if you don't like him or you don't like his content, grow the F up and don't watch him. But we're not sitting here and telling him what he can and can't do. And we're not going to sit here and create any punishments for him for making jokes that we think are in bad taste or saying things we disagree with, because he has a right to do that. And, oh, well, you're platforming him and doing that. It's like, yeah, we're enabling him to have his free speech and to have his say, and allowing people who agree with him to agree with him and people who disagree with him, disagree with him. You want to disagree with him? Use your platform, use your voice. Don't support him, but don't tell other people what they can and cannot consume. And do not tell other people what they have to like, and don't tell other people what they have to believe in. But that's not what happened. What happened was these multi-billion-dollar corporations who have to answer to shareholders who don't watch PewDiePie, don't watch YouTube, who don't care about memes or culture or humor, are watching the public sentiment and the media backlash reduce confidence in them to say, oh, if you stand for this, you also stand for this, and this thing is bad, or this thing is horrible, or this thing offends people. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want to do that. And we don't care about this kid in Sweden. We care about our money. So they have no problem not doing fair business and not being honorable if it means that all they have to do is screw over an individual or two. They won't stand for what's right. They'll stand for what's in their own best interest, which I'm not inherently faulting. I'm faulting people who manipulate that. I am faulting people in the media and in the public who know that and manipulate that to try to hurt people that they disagree with or offend them, instead of just growing the hell up and living their own life and allowing people you dislike or disagree with to exist. Because if we have to turn the tables, then what about all of those people? What if everybody decided to apply leverage to everybody that they feel has infringed on them in that way? It wouldn't be a good time. It'd be a constant battle of people trying to destroy each other in senseless combat again and again and again. So why can't we just do a very simple thing? Live and let live. Don't infringe on anybody. And if somebody says something you don't like or offends you, have a conversation with them. don't involve other people, or walk away and understand that imperfect people exist.
Preach.
Dang.
Did you just say dang?
I did.
That's my line.
Because I'm
You
bringing
can't
it back.
steal-
Well, you didn't say it, so I'm bringing it back.
Wow. All right.
Roberta, do you want to answer any of these questions, or should we wrap it up?
I can answer like one or two.
All right.
Thoughts on media companies and their part in this? When you say media companies, are you talking about publications?
I think that's what he's talking about, because he mentioned Lorenz.
Okay, so what I think about media companies is this. Media companies are not forced by the FTC to disclose a very clear conflict of interest that I have a problem with. Publications largely profit, if not through a subscription model, through advertising dollars, which means that anybody who works for a publication, and any publication itself, is a direct competitor of a platform whose primary advertising model, whose primary revenue model is advertising. Now, generally speaking, if you were to start to talk negatively about a company or a brand, you're forced to disclose conflicts of interest. Primary example is if I go on to the local news or something like that, and I start talking about a stock, I have to disclose whether I'm an investor in the company, or if I start slamming a stock, I have to disclose whether I'm invested in their competitor. And you know why? Because it's a conflict of interest, and I can be manipulating the situation for my own benefit and enriching myself. Okay? That's why disclosures exist. It's why when we as influencers go on to a brand deal, the federal government, through the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, requires us to disclose that what we're promoting and advocating for has a monetary incentive. We have to do that for sponsors, and we have to do that for our affiliate links. We also have to disclose if we're promoting a company that we own, because we have to acknowledge that we're using our platform and we're using our voice for something where we have a monetary incentive that enriches ourselves. All right? We have to disclose that. My problem is that if a media publication or a journalist directly goes negative on a platform or a creator, they're not obligated above the fold to disclose that their platform as a publisher is a direct advertiser, a direct advertising competitor against YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of them, because there's a conflict of interest there. If you are talking negatively about YouTube, and you are a media publication that has a very strong vested interest in advertiser dollars and revenue, you are negatively speaking about your direct competitor. YouTubers benefit from an ad revenue sharing relationship in a 55-45 split with YouTube, which means more of our revenue is derived from the advertisers than YouTuber, which means if you cover an influencer, you're directly competing with them for ad dollars. It is a clear conflict of interest for you to negatively speak about a competitor and not disclose that to your audience. It is a conflict of interest. And we have to disclose when something we say is for our benefit. The federal government holds an influencer in their bedroom to a higher standard than a news publication. That is effing absurd. Like, do you agree with that, Audrey?
Yep. I mean, we've seen this happen though with like a ton of different laws and stuff. Like every time that something goes wrong, remember when there was those laws in Europe that were getting passed?
Article 13 and Article 17.
Yeah, and it was, the creators who got hit first, and the companies just basically, and I mean, that's just kind of, with that type of situation, is like, what is the correct solution? Because they're just covering to make sure they don't get sued.
Well,
but then
traditional media, as much as it talks about speaking truth to power, does not speak up for its own conflicts of interest. It doesn't speak up for its own conflicts of interest. So they're not being intellectually honest, because the intellectually honest thing to do would be that every time they talk about an influencer or creator, that above the fold, even if it's in 8-point font, that there is something that admits that they're a direct competitor for advertising revenue with this platform and with creators on this platform, because that is context that lets us say, let's take what you say with a grain of salt and a healthy amount of skepticism. Let's not take everything you say at face value. But they won't do that because, again, they have to speak truth to power, or so they claim. And so that's my problem, is I want it transparent and above board. I want you to go ahead and not assume that the reader knows that, because, again, it's not top of mind for them, and it'd be important for them to take into their consideration when weighing your words. And they know that, which is why they don't do it. They also have the ability, as much as they claim not to lobby the federal government. They also, obviously, there's a tie between certain elements of the media and certain political interest. It depends on what publication you are. Obviously, if you're a right-leaning publication, you have probably have lawmakers that are favorable to you in the conservative factions of our political system. If you're a more liberal or left-leaning publication, you certainly have friends that are in that side of the aisle within our establishments. It's not like that's some kind of secret. So we know that you can't just claim fully to be anti-establishment because you're the media. We know that you have the ability to have some kind of immunity or favoritism depending on where you lean and where you lie, whatever. But the thing is, even if it's an open secret, you should still be required to disclose certain things, and you're not held to a same level of accountability that a homegrown influencer in their bedroom is. And I have a real problem with that. I have a problem that media publications are not held to the same FTC guidelines that an influencer in their bedroom is. I believe that they are harder on us than they are on established traditional entities, and I believe that's because they have the ability to lobby. The creators don't have any advocacy. And as much as people talk crap about the tech companies, it's not like the tech companies are out there lobbying for our rights as creators. Tech companies were so evil and so sinister and everything like that. They've got all the four companies that are worth $1 trillion are all tech companies. If they're so evil and so powerful and need to be held accountable, and they are the ones who need to be put into check, and they need to be broken up and everything like that, if they're so evil, why don't they just buy the government? They can damn sure afford it.
Ding.
Ding.
And again, I'm not in favor of the legal bribery that we have, but I mean, hey.
Legal bribery.
Yeah, that's what it is. What do you call lobbying? It's legal, in my opinion.
No, I mean, yeah.
Allegedly.
It's yeah, right. Roberto sus. All right, Roberto, do you want to start wrapping up?
I mean, just final thoughts from both
Final
of you.
thoughts.
And then
We've been doing final thoughts for 20 minutes.
I know, but I went on a rant. I
don't have any final thoughts. Everything is +1, everything you just said.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess that is that.
What are? Oh wait, I'll pass this.
No, go ahead, please.
No, it's irrelevant. Never mind. It's fine.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and, I guess, wrap up. We'll figure out some topic for next week. Maybe there'll be some pressing news, or maybe the world will keep burning.
I was going to say, are we talking about health?
But if there isn't, then we're talking about health.
You know what we should do?
If the world stops burning and turning, we'll talk about health.
I had an idea because you guys roasted my food last time. We should keep track of like our favorite meals or something, like one day, just what we did, and then talk about it next.
What we eat in a day.
Yeah, like, and it goes into not just that, but it goes into the healthy habits topic.
Okay.
You guys don't seem that enthusiastic.
I don't think
because I'm not worried about what I'm eating.
I just don't think anybody cares about me. So.
I'm just saying, I think that Roberto and I are going to win this competition. That's all.
Excuse me, I don't think so.
Well, Audrey, you out here like skipping mad meals and like
almond butter.
That was one day. That was literally one day.
What did you have for breakfast today?
A bagel and a banana.
Yeah, okay. See, that's like literally.
What's wrong with my bagels, dude?
Roberto, you better start thinking about the outro before I.
Oh, I've got it.
Why do you guys have a problem with bagels?
We're going to go into this next week. So if you want to see us roast
I will fight
Audrey
over bagels.
and her bagels, tune in next week. Roberto.
Yeah.
Take us out.
I'll take us home. All right. Thank you for listening to No Assembly Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please leave us a review in all the podcast apps, like and subscribe, do all the things. This has been your trio of hosts, starting with Audrey, Almond Butter Ember, Roasty Romina, and of course your Dark Lord, the interwebs, a proud advocate for our platforms, giving us our damn speech, Roberto Blake. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time with a much more lighthearted topic. Unless the world keeps burning and turning, we'll catch you next time. Nope.